back to the channel, where this week we are going to be a design based on this plot plan from last week's video. If this is your first time to the channel, here we do designs for landscape. I give you guys some ideas and some references, things that you should avoid and things that would help you if you are wanting to do your own project and you want to design it yourself, or at least you want to get ideas going for another designer to take over. So with that being said, if you want to see last week's video, I talk about what a plot plan is and the things that gives you the information and how that could be useful for your own design. So right now what I'm doing here is that I am taking this plot plan, I am tracing everything out, because at this point I put it to scale because there are numbers there. I use those to get this to scale, and if I were to want to print this out, I could give it to somebody, especially if I'm very happy with this design. I could give it to a crew that is going to come in and help me with the project. I start with that first and then I keep going. So now I'm kind of giving you a little bit of kind of like the overview, kind of hide the plot plan. This program that I'm using here is Concepts, and it will allow you to do several layers for you to work with. So right now I'm kind of starting with the basics, kind of showing you where the garage is, what the house is, where you have like the area for the driveway, the sidewalk, and a few other details that will help once I'm done with that design. So I'm just kind of moving stuff around, kind of deleting lines that no longer useful in this case, and kind of you see where the house is. I'll put a few more details, and at this point, depending on what you are doing, if you want to add more details, that's up to you. This is just for reference, especially if you are wanting to kind of explore your ideas. However, you should keep in mind that depending on where you are in the States or even around the world, have in mind what temperatures, elevations, type of soils you have in your area when you start designing. It will help a lot. That way you know what you want, maybe the colors, the sizes of the shrubs and or trees. So now I like putting just a vehicle just so I know where I'm kind of dealing with the garage and a few other details. It makes it a little nicer to look at once it's printed. It's just really for people to understand, especially if your family doesn't know what a plan is or doesn't maybe seen one but doesn't really get it. This way you just add a bit more of detail. So right now what I'm doing is just kind of give myself some ideas, like kind of what I want to do. Do I want some rolled sod in the front? Do I want to do maybe some concrete steps? What do I want to do? So right now I'm just kind of tracing what I like to do with some steps that would go from the sidewalk to the main entrance of the house. So I'm kind of saying, all right, I want to do this right here, and then I want to do an area of turf. So what I'm thinking when I'm doing this design is, what would be good if this house were to be, say, in an area there's a lot of owners that have dogs. I do want an area for my dogs to do its business if I have dogs. At the same time, I'm thinking about, what if this area doesn't have a lot of water? So I don't want to fill everything with grass, but I do want to have some turf. So I'm doing a bit more of a modern style, a bit more lines versus curves. So I'll have my area of roll sod here. I am drawing it here for you guys. This is just the way I like doing it. Depending on the type of program that I'm using, I'll do them a little different. In this one, I will do it more like this style. That way I can show the fam or maybe a friend, hey, this is kind of the ideas that I'm thinking for your house. You have a very modern looking house. This will go well, has a lot of lines that will go with the house. So you'll see right now I have, those are the steps, that is a turf. The brown or gray looking color, that's gonna be my rock area. So for the back of the house, I'm thinking, all right, so the front of the house is gonna be more just a curb appeal, nothing too crazy. But in the back, I want to have friends over, or maybe the person I'm working with, in this case maybe for yourself, I want to have friends over. I want to have an area for my friends to come out and maybe kind of sit down, and we'll have maybe some fun, maybe just talking there, hanging out. So I'll have an area for a pad patio, and then maybe also a synthetic turf area. You'll notice that I definitely changed colors, one being a bit more bright green versus the one in the front is a little bit more, the color of the green is a little different, just to kind of make sure that in this case, if I were to be doing this for my family, hey, two different kinds of grasses. If you have dogs, they can do their business on it. You will have to check on the type of synthetic turf, but most synthetic turfs, for the most part, I would say higher grade, can take a good amount of water, especially if your in this case dog would do their business. You can pick it up and just wash it and it will dry right below. But for the front, I'm thinking that I'm going to give it a space between the sidewalk and the grass, so that if you were to have neighbors, at least they would be kind enough to not be in your grass. And for the back, I'm just adding a bit more of detail. This would be the synthetic turf, this would be the patio, maybe adding some texture to it. Maybe you want to do this, maybe pavers, or maybe you want this with a stamp color concrete. There are many options out there, and it will depend on what you want. One, for the look of the overall design. But for now, I'm kind of doing more of this sort of brick kind of ideas for now. That this would be the patio. I'm also thinking maybe just putting like a table with a couple chairs, just to give this idea to whoever is seeing this printed. Earlier I mentioned that you can get this from this program, which I'm using, the Concepts app that you can get on your Apple device, Windows and Android, mainly tablets, but you can always grab this, save it as a PDF, and print it out. So right now I'm kind of doing a few different shrubs, different sizes. You'll notice that the things that kind of go along the property line are going to be definitely bigger than the ones that are next to the house. So that's one thing to think about. You definitely don't want it to be too big, but the ones that are away from the house, you want them to be a little bit bigger, depending on if this case you were to have neighbors, which you might have neighbors, maybe have some bigger shrubs. And then I also put a little bit of some little squares in the brown area where it would be my rock. Now at this point, I'm just giving ideas as to what it would look like overall, kind of like the areas that I'm going for, the differences of materials, and I'm kind of even drawing my lines as to what things would be. Maybe put like, this is a patio, this is a tree, X name of tree. But over here, I'm just showing you what it will look like. Now, I should say that I did speed up this footage, but you can definitely do it, and you can take as long as you want. But here are just ideas that I used from last week's video, the plot plan. What do you guys think about that? Let me know if you guys like this kind of video so I can do more, or other ideas to do other kinds of designs. But for the meantime, that is the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget the motto here, which is Dream, Design, Create, and I will see you guys on the next video. Take care. Goodbye.